Loony. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, I love saying that. Well, I was
Loony.
recording an introduction to hopefully what will be our podcast episode releasing tomorrow morning, trying to put together our discussion today with Dr. Mark Caleb Smith in time to release. We got a small staff and everything, but I went in there and did my thing at the microphone.
That's right. Good job.
Well, I don't know if it was good yet. I have to listen to it.
Well, yeah, this is going to be a great podcast. Many have asked, so it will be released tomorrow at 10. Make sure to share it. Check it out. Rate us. It helps when you rate us. Caleb Smith is amazing.
Yeah, he's quite good.
Yeah.
Glad to have you with us today. You know, you're hearing everybody give their thoughts on what happened yesterday. If you want, on my Facebook page, I did a Facebook Live broadcast of my thoughts.
Yeah.
This morning that I shared about the power of words on display. You can hear the whole thing, but my biggest reflection yesterday was just how much words truly matter. I mean, we throw around words on social media and either our words or somebody else's in an article or a video like it's nothing.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter. And I gave some historic examples of the power of it, but the scriptures are very clear. Psalm 34 was one of my favorites, not one you go to often for this, but it says, "Come, my children, listen to me, and I will teach you to fear the Lord." Does anyone want to live a life that's long and prosperous? Then keep your tongue from speaking evil and your lips from telling lies.
We just speak to our kids like that.
Right.
Keep your tongues from speaking evil.
And your lips from telling lies. But if you want to live a life that's long and prosperous, if you've been like dabbling in possible lies, conspiracies, and social media, I don't know how God feels about that based on Psalm 34. Actually, no, I do know how he feels about it. James 3:3-6 is another one that's super good in this sense. The tongue is a small thing that makes grand speeches, but a tiny spark can set a great forest on fire. And among all the parts of the body, the tongue is a flame of fire. It is a whole world of wickedness, corrupting your entire body. It can set your whole life on fire, for it is set on fire by hell itself. No doubt, words have power.
Yeah, they do.
And we saw that on display yesterday. And it's tragic. And we condemn it.
Yeah.
We'll have to deal with this on Follow Up Friday tomorrow.
I don't know if he's ready.
I don't know if I'm ready
I'm
either.
coming with a...
There's a whole lot of people texting in dramatic accusations about us and hypocrisy and inconsistency that are just patently untrue and unfair. I don't know how many we'll address tomorrow, but I'm sure they'll come up. Yeah.
Jannelle, my girl. Team Jannelle's in the house. Ellen is here. She says, how do I access a replay of this morning's show? Specifically, the Mark Caleb Smith portion. Good news, Ellen. So give her the bad news first.
Well, the bad news is it actually takes a lot more time than you think to like edit a show and re-release it as podcast, and it's just us. Somebody was like, "What, do your producers make you do that?"
We are our producers.
So no, but the good news is that we're going to try as hard as we can. Ron's working right now. I just did something, so I was late trying to get that interview in particular released as our podcast tomorrow. That's what our goal is.
Tanks is in the house. You better do something.
Tanks?
He says this overtime should be good.
Make it good, Tanks.
That's right. Say something. Miss Theola, what's up? We love you. We love you.
Because you made people mad right out of the gate.
Right out of the gate.
Speaking Pastor Tanks.
I only had to hear 15 minutes. We already talking about race. And they turned us off. But, should I say?
Well, you already did. So,
yeah.
You had a number of reflections.
Yes,
so
I had a number of reflections, natural reactions and feelings as a new citizen. You know, there was some there in terms of seeing, whoa, the Capitol, what is going on? All of that, like a lot of people around the world reacted. I was troubled to see the reaction from lack of reaction or slow, delayed reaction from law enforcement in the area. And then when they finally did, the restraint that they finally were able to have, and how different it is to similar situations from other groups. And that's
You're
concerning,
so
and it's hurtful. Huh?
You're so gentle.
I know.
It's good. It's good. I like it.
So there's that. There's the reaction and inconsistency from friends on Facebook, where when the protests, and absolutely wrong riots that were happening in the summer. The protests were fine, but not the riots. Christians were very quick to throw out scripture and talk about God's a God of order and what is going on, and we shouldn't disrespect XYZ, whatever. Silence from those people today. As a new citizen and as a person of color in this country, maybe it's wrong, but I'm just being honest. It made me feel like, whoa, the Capitol's not really ours. We can't do that. We can't just walk up in there, and we shouldn't, but the way that group did, it's like, yo, this is my place. It wasn't like respect. It wasn't, I mean, they were trespassing. And it felt like a lot of entitlement. And I don't want to say the P word, but it's really I'll just say it because we're here. So it felt like a lot of privilege, you know? It didn't feel equal. And even some of my teenagers noticed it. They're old enough to know. You know, and it just didn't feel equal as citizens, and that was troubling. But the importance of, I liked Pastor Chad Allen's reaction on Facebook, and so I have talked to leaders in the church that in the past, specifically last summer, have told me, well, yeah, injustice troubles me. That doesn't mean I have to go on Facebook and say anything. You know, like, I don't... But then
I'm sorry to laugh, but it's just so...
You would never say that if it was about abortion, which is an incredible injustice. So why can't we speak up for other things? You know, that's troubling. So your silence is deafening. I like the way you put it. Like, you can hear it. I see my friends outraged of like, you know how hurtful it is when it's friends? And you're like, y'all ain't gonna say nothing? Like, and you said it before? It bothered you before? That's troubling. But I know it upset people, like you said, right out the gate.
Well, yeah, but people were actually, we'll have to talk about this more tomorrow too, but the accusations by text that we can even address here is that people were saying of us that we are hypocrites because why didn't you condemn the violence in the protests in the summer? And yet here you are, all you're talking about is the violence at the Capitol.
But then we did.
Yeah, I know, that's just patently false. And what that's doing is distracting from the issue at hand. It's a relevant issue to bring up, what happened this summer, because what we did this summer was we said that the violence was despicable, lawless, sinful, and people should be fully prosecuted. We said it multiple times.
Yes. It even angered a lot of people like me because it was like, they're distracting from the point. Like, it's muddying up why we're there, like why people were protesting. So it wasn't what we were trying to do, and it actually hurt the cause.
Yeah, people were protesting what they believe to be injustice in our country towards people of color, okay? So today we condemned violence on the air as unbiblical, lawlessness, and sin. And we clearly also said that people have a right to protest.
Yeah.
And if you were peacefully protesting and didn't bust down the Capitol windows and run around and sit on lawmakers' desks and do all that, if you were protesting peacefully, that's your American right. And if you think there's an injustice in the election, you have every right to protest, and you should.
Yeah.
So, isn't it interesting how people are selectively angry with us for calling out violence and saying Christians ought to care about injustice, done so peacefully? I don't know how many times we talked about Dr. King's model of how to protest injustice.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times.
Well, Misty's not happy. Privilege, oh, here we go. And I know that word, people don't like it, but it was, whatever label you want to put on it, to see someone, can you tell me what that is? It was like at the chair, Nancy Pelosi's chair. And taking selfies with, I mean, Senator Kamala Harris is in there. Mike Pence, I don't know if he was there. What I'm saying is part of me is like, Secret Service, where's the police? You could just be up there at, oh my goodness, it was troubling. So if you don't like that P word, use another word. But it's very inconsistent compared to reactions in other places.
Well, but here, so Kathy says it's the same for what happened yesterday. A small segment was involved in storming the Capitol, but there's a distinct difference, and I think we can agree on this. I wholeheartedly condemn the violence in Cleveland.
Absolutely.
Now, statistically, 95% of the protests this last summer due to racial unrest were peaceful.
Yeah.
Or was it 99%? I forget. It was in the upper
Up
90s.
over 95. Yeah.
But there's a distinct difference in breaking the windows of a business in downtown Cleveland and busting down the windows and storming the Capitol of the United States of America and
While you know,
desecrating the chambers.
While senators are in there. So it's like while they're in there, that's so
there's a distinct
outrageous
difference in the two. Both are wrong, but the gravity of one compared to the other is distinctly different, and is even, quite frankly, the violence at the Capitol should be even easier to condemn. I mean, it's an obvious condemnation for someone breaking down the windows of a store. Clearly, Christ would not stand for that. It's lawlessness. It violates Scripture. But I mean, if that was easy, how easy should it be to condemn what happened at the Capitol? Without excuse, without explanation, without distraction, without accusing Christian radio hosts of being hypocrites.
Yeah. I mean, you would think this wouldn't be an argument. Why is it so hard? We all love America. I'm coming from a heart of, I love my country. We had, was it Mark Caleb Smith? Oh no, Nick Gatsky.
He was great.
In 200 years is the first time the Capitol was attacked. I don't think it's that hard for anybody. I don't care what political party you're in to be like, what is going on? Whoa, I don't know. That's crazy. Antifa's coming up a lot.
What?
In fact, Matthew says, I was at the United States Capitol yesterday. Antifa was stirring up the crowd. My brother-in-law and myself and my sister were standing against the crowd, trying to break through the barricades. Can you please explain? I don't know. I'm not saying.
It sounds like a really similar narrative to what happened at some of the, you were at, your husband was at
Len was.
the Cleveland protest, and there were people dressed as Antifa.
Yeah, and
with
their
the flags.
Yeah.
Pastor Tanks is here with us today, watching and commenting. He saw it himself. How can I say this? The photos of what took place, is it possible that some of those promoting violence were part of Antifa? Of course it is.
Yeah.
But you mean to tell me all the pictures of all the people promoting that violence and walking around the Capitol, taking selfies, that's all Antifa?
No.
Why is it so hard to condemn that as people who are radical right extremists?
Dr. Mark Caleb Smith said the people that they've already arrested, that he knows where they came from.
Former lawmakers from West Virginia and Pennsylvania. People who were voted and served in state legislatures.
The guy that was up front at Nancy Pelosi's chair, he's they saw his Facebook page. He's not Antifa. He's QAnon something, and he was talking about some war. The woman that died, she's not Antifa. She's a veteran. She was QAnon, who knows what. I'm just saying, it was not, I don't know what details about those groups. What I know is it's not Antifa. So there's proof of the ones that they've at least identified. Dr. Jennifer Jones says Antifa, but this summer when people said Antifa was stirring things up, many said we were lying. Such a convenient, it's true. I didn't want to go there, but yeah. Charles says, funny how people do not like to hear white privilege when you are the privileged. It was so visible yesterday. I normally stay silent on things like this, but come on. Pamela, but I'll say your name today. I love you. You're my girl. I just messed up your name one day. Pamela says, yes, hello, not new. Why more than 24 hours to say that?
Yeah, but here's where I'll, this is our after show debrief on this big topic. This really draws back to my primary frustration in the church. I used to say it's the death of nuance, but I had someone challenge me and say, were we ever capable of it? I don't know. I'm mourning the lack of nuance. The Christian is not a Republican or a Democrat. A Christian is a follower of Christ, period. Christ does not fit into the mold of any particular political party or system. In fact, America wasn't even a thought in the world at the time Christ was doing his ministry here on earth.
Right.
So with that being said, it's like, how can we get so caught up in the idea that we need to defend something other than Christ? We should be able to, with confidence and peace, because we love Jesus, call what's right, right, and wrong, wrong. In one breath, be able to say abortion is abhorrent, and then next say that racial injustice is abhorrent. I mean, that should be so easy for us as Christians to say in the same breath. And yet, Christians on both sides of the aisle are incapable of doing so.
Both sides of the aisle.
Both sides of the aisle.
That's what was clear to me yesterday. When I saw the same people that called out the riots last summer, yesterday say, well, you know what it is? People are just tired of the injustice and tired of, like the corruption in government. It showed me, wow, so then we're not seeking truth. We're not defending the vulnerable. We're not speaking for those who are being oppressed. We're on sides. Because if we really were on a biblical stand, we would call out both clearly. We would say, no, like, if you are doing this because of injustice, you need to stop the violence. You would say that in the summertime, and you would have said it yesterday. And that's not what Christians are doing. Well, not all Christians, I'm saying. The ones who are defending what happened yesterday based on trying to take back the election. There's no reason to do that at the Capitol.
Never. There's never excuse. It's wicked. Period.
Go
ahead.
I wanted to give Matthew a voice just to make sure we're not like just reading some. He says a lot of Trump supporters did get riled up wrongly. I talked with many who were praying most of the time. Many pastors there as well. And prayer and worship was going on. It's terrible that the whole event was hijacked by the extremists.
I love your words, Matthew. Thank you for that clarification. And I wholeheartedly believe it, that there were people with political passions that were trying to be peacekeepers. Because I tell you what, the heart of Christ should be clearly on display for the Christian. If you're walking around angry and making excuses, I don't know how you can defend that biblically. And here's what I mean. What does the heart of Christ look like in the face of injustice? It looks like the men and women at lunch counters in the 1950s in the Civil Rights Movement.
Yeah.
Sitting quietly and being abused by others. It's the freedom riders on the buses because it was illegal to be black on a bus and across state lines.
Yeah.
So it's that is what it looks like to fight against injustice in the name of Christ.
Yeah.
It is exuding love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, self-control. The fruits of the Spirit need to be clearly on display, which is why, for lack of a better example, I don't know of many more other than the Civil Rights Movement and the African-American leaders and courageous people, and people from all walks of life that also supported, but who display what it looks like to say, I love Jesus, this is unjust, and this is how it looks like to love Jesus and fight injustice.
Yeah.
And yesterday looked nothing like that.
Nothing. Not what was happening at the Capitol. Misty says, Jannelle, so if I was there protesting, I wouldn't have been one of those to rush the steps of the Capitol. Would I, too, be labeled privileged? No, you would have been enjoying the same privilege I have, which is to protest. What I don't have, and what they don't have, is the right to break the barricades, run up the stairs of the Capitol, break windows, knock the door down, go in the hallways, all of that stuff, and to not get in trouble for SWAT so-and-so or National Guard, for it just to happen, and for law enforcement to be restrained in ways that I haven't seen it, for them to be labeled protesters, and we're just sick of the election being stolen, and other groups being called terrorists. That's the privilege. That's what I'm talking about. Not, Misty, you can go and protest and be fine. And no, that's not what I'm talking about with privilege. Can you correct me if I'm wrong?
No, I like how you said it. I mean, bottom line, there were domestic terrorists storming the Capitol of the United States of America, and that shouldn't be complicated to condemn.
But it's not called that. When they were going to kidnap the governor of Michigan. You remember I texted you? They were being called extremist or something else. And I'm like, really? We're going to call this extremist and not call it, what, thug behavior, whatever. I mean, kidnapping a government, that's called insurrection, whatever it's called. I don't know. It's just labels matter. You talked about it today. Words matter. And it's consistent. Certain words are used with certain groups.
And if you want to look up another difference, we brought this up earlier, as Aretha's saying we have a right to peaceful protest but don't get the same respect. Go look at what happened in the 1970s when the Black Panthers, who I condemn their violent tendencies, but the Black Panthers decided to show their Second Amendment rights at the California State Capitol. Go read about what happened.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
There's a distinct difference. And it's okay. I mean, because I'm comfortable saying, in one breath, very comfortable, saying things like abortion is abhorrent, sex is for a man and a woman in marriage for life, homosexuality is sinful. I could go down that list. And in the same breath, our country has a history that is not yet behind us of personal and systemic racism. That favors certain groups of people and disenfranchises others.
Yeah.
That we disparage the poor in this country, and people in need are not treated and loved the way they should. I can say all those things together, and I don't fit anywhere except under the banner of Christ.
Yeah.
And I want more Christians to be so comfortable proclaiming biblical truth that crosses man-made political aisles. But we can't do it. Yeah. We see an event yesterday, and all we want to do is make excuses when it's so clearly condemnable.
Yeah.
Just like people looting downtown Cleveland last year was so easily condemnable.
Yeah. Yeah. Misty said, I just get frustrated with racial generalities, and I feel that the white people have been also lumped into these generalized labels. And then she also said, I agree with that, so we can agree that there are two different groups of people there.
And it makes me sad, Misty, that you think we're implying otherwise.
And when we started the show, I don't know if you remember, but when I said how my day was going, like yesterday, and I'm going to my doctor's appointment and I saw the rally, saw the protesters, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Look, that's what we do. We protest. When I saw the rioting, that's a different group. That's a different thing. I don't have an issue with those. The group that was there protesting, I am all about that because that's what we're about in this country.
And it does make me sad that you think we were lumping the two together. Because we explicitly haven't been.
Yeah.
And Misty, you know our hearts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I do want to get to this email. Carol says, I want to get to it because my mom and my dad were small business owners, and we expressed our hearts about this in the summertime. Carol emailed and said, first, I love you guys, and I'm so thankful for what you do every day. As I listen to Overtime today, I'm thinking that people losing their businesses to violence change their lives forever. Yes, we are business owners, and it's not easy to recover. Storming the Capitol was wrong, but I don't see the difference. Congressmen and senators can go home and still have a future and can feed their families. Because you mentioned earlier, that's one thing to destroy business.
It's my opinion. You don't have to agree with me. God bless you, Carol. I think there's a distinct difference between violent insurrection at a nation's capital versus the destruction of a business. I just think it's patently different.
You agree that the price paid by private individuals is obviously greater.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course, but I mean, also, I don't know. It's so obviously different to me. Although both are wicked, the degrees of severity are so different. I just don't know. You don't have to agree, though. That's the thing. If you don't agree, awesome. They're the same for you. God bless you.
And this may be a little different, but it was like 9/11. To hit the Twin Towers was one thing. I remember the feeling of like, yo, you go right to the Pentagon. And I know Twin Towers, they're like wealthy, but it's like the heart of that takes a higher level of boldness.
Excellent point. Yeah, I mean, if terrorists would have crashed a plane into my house, versus the Pentagon,
that's let's go.
It's personally destructive to me.
Yeah,
it could kill my family and bring me to financial ruin.
Yeah.
but it's patently different than attacking the nation's capital.
Yeah. Hollis, what's up? She's on YouTube. KP, what's up? KP says, good work day, YouTube. Hollis says, out the leaders who use the pulpit to bully people into voting one way or another. Is it biblical heresy to tell people if they do not vote for a specific candidate, they are not a good Christian? The BBC reports...
well, we won't... Yeah.
We're not going to go there?
Yeah.
Oh, the second one?
Yeah.
Okay. So that first one, are we agree? I've seen that. Because it sounds a little crazy and extreme. There are people saying that.
Yeah.
Leaders, Christian leaders saying, if you don't vote this way, I don't see how you
I think you need to seek the Lord and see how the Spirit would guide you to vote. We're nonpartisan, and that's the end of it. And
yeah.
I think you can be saved and vote. I mean, goodness sakes, he didn't condemn Peter because he told Christians to honor and respect Nero.
Yeah.
Go read about Nero. And then, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, come on. Like, history can help us with this.
Andrea, my girl, she was like, I'm so late. Man, she's new. Remember, she loves us. What's up, Andrea? I remember you. That's why you need to be in Team Jannelle. Look at him. He's so confused. You my girl. I know you just found this. Remember, this stays on our page, so you got to go back and listen. Remember, tomorrow is Follow-Up Friday, and obviously, this is going to be a big topic. You can call or text us. You can also email us right now if you want us to dig into any of your concerns tomorrow. Follow-Up Friday, 6 to 9 the whole time. Bruce is commenting. I see you, Bruce. Tanks has been on, making it awesome. Charles, Nick, what's up? Tiffany says, praying for you, Brian and Jannelle. Tomorrow should be interesting.
Lord, have mercy.
Yeah, that's what we're thinking.
All right, peeps, we got to go. Love you.